Welcome to Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where you get unconventional insights into retirement and lifestyle design that actually work. You don't have to settle for the same tired Wall Street advice. Break away from the herd and learn how to achieve the retirement lifestyle of your dreams. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. Yes, right back at it. Had 1 week off. Took a little break there with the family and business and various other things. I chose to re-release an episode. If you follow me on LinkedIn, other social media platforms, you would have seen that I had re-released an episode that I had done on reverse mortgages. The question of reverse mortgages had been coming up quite frequently, so I decided to re-release an episode that I had done on reverse mortgages. Check that out on my LinkedIn page. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kraig with a K, K-R-A-I-G, Strom, S-T-R-O-M. I am the income engineer, broadcasting from the Personal Pension Radio Studio Workshop here in Southern California. Now, if you haven't been to Personal Pension Radio, definitely go over and check it out, personalpensionradio.com. Just a good site for all of the back episodes. I do my best to have transcripts and everything that I can there. There's lots and lots of content. If there's ever anything that you would like to get a hold of or information or questions you have, just message me there through Personal Pension Radio, or again, message me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Facebook, Kraig with a K, Strom. You can't miss me. I am all over the place on the internet. Now, what is Personal Pension Radio all about? I am all about optimizing retirement income. Optimizing retirement income. Really drill that in. Think about that. Ask yourself that question. Has anybody in your financial world around you, your CPA, your financial advisor, your lawyer, anybody, talked about retirement income? Or has the conversation always been, buy this, invest in that, your 401k is the answer, this investment, that investment, life insurance, real estate, etc.? These things are all the answers. Well, no. Optimizing, maximizing, driving the most lifestyle income you can get in retirement is not going to happen with a product. Investments, life insurance, 401ks, Roth IRAs, annuities, real estate, all of those things by themselves can be excellent accumulation vehicles, but by themselves, they are not going to help you to maximum income. You must have an integrated approach that uses the best of all these things together, that each of them working together in your overall plan can enhance the income that you pull out of that plan. This show, my mission, is to give you hope for retirement. But in order to help you truly understand what you're up against, you have to be brave and answer the question or ask the question so that someone gives you the answer. And I'm here to tell you, most financial advisors, classically trained like I was by the Wall Street education machine, most of them are going to give you an answer about retirement income that you do not like. And I'm here to tell you that there is hope for retirement. There is light at the end of that tunnel. You just have to be willing to ask the hard question, ask the scary question, and then once you get that answer, be willing to come back to me, for example, and say, hey, how do I avoid that? Because that was not a good answer, right? I'm here to tell you that there is a way to achieve maximum income in retirement. It's just not going to happen with a 401k or life insurance or real estate or a product in general. It's going to happen with an integrated approach, a plan. Now, disclosure, I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant, but I am a CFP, a certified financial planner professional. But that doesn't mean that you should act on things that you hear on this show as if you were getting advice. This show is meant to get you excited, get you pumped up, be informational, educational. If you want to get specific, you've got to do what people have done so many times on this show. They have contacted me and that they have engaged me one-on-one to look into their situation, their specific situation, and that's how you're going to get good actionable information to work on. Meet with a qualified financial advisor. I won't lie, I would love that advisor to be me. So go to my LinkedIn page, my Facebook page, go to personalpensionradio.com, contact me. I'd be happy to meet with you. Technology has made the world a very small place nowadays. I meet with folks all across the country through the miracle of technology. So please, don't hesitate. Act on it. Go for it. Get in touch. I'd look forward to talking to you. Now, let's jump in. The first segment, Watch Your Step. Now, Watch Your Step is where I normally bring you things that are out there in the news, and I don't want you to slip and fall on something nasty. I want you to be aware of it. But today happens to be Easter Sunday. I am recording this on Easter Sunday, and yes, I do record the podcast at odd times, but I just do it when I'm excited, when I've got the energy to go for it. So Easter Sunday, we just got back from having time with family, and I've been thinking all weekend about what I want on my podcast this week. And so here it is, Easter Sunday. So I want to make it happy. So let's have a happy thought. So this is a great article I read. This is an Inc. magazine, Inc.com. And Inc. actually did this article on a Harvard study. Now, I'll have a link to this in show notes, but if it doesn't get into the show notes quick enough and you want to see the article, just send me a message through any one of my channels and I'll send you the link. But this is an article at Inc.com that actually talked about a 75-year Harvard University study. So 75-year study. That is a long study. This study went on so long, they actually went through multiple sets of researchers. These researchers at the university had basically passed the torch several times to continue the research. And what they had done is that they had followed and tracked the physical and emotional well-being of two distinct groups of people, 400 or 500 in each group, okay? And they've tracked them for 75 years. And what they were looking for is they were looking for two groups, one being of modest means, even in the original study considered to be poor, and the other group considered to be more well-off, those who attended Harvard University. And they wanted to find out what the physical and emotional well-being of these two groups look like. Because if you think about the dichotomy, the stark difference that comes to mind when you get a group of just poor average folk and a whole group of people who could afford to go to Harvard, right? Like Harvard is like one of those, wow, I went to Harvard. How could I not be successful in a titan of industry, right? Well, what they studied was there a difference or a similarity between these two groups, right? So the clearest message from this 75-year study was that good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. That's a quote. Let me say that again. 75 years of study, two very distinct groups of people, right? The clearest message that we get from this 75-year study is this: good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. It's not how much is in your 401k. It goes on to say it's not how many conferences you spoke at or keynoted. Not how many blog posts you wrote or how many followers you had or how many tech companies you worked for or how much power you wielded there or how much you vested in each company. Specifically, the study demonstrated that having someone to rely on helps your nervous system relax, helps your brain stay healthier for longer, and reduces both emotional as well as physical pain. That's pretty cool. So on Easter Sunday, I thought I would share with you the results of this very long study that basically says it's love. That's it. That's what it is. No, the biggest predictor of your happiness and fulfillment in life isn't your success or how big your bank account was or how big your paycheck was or how shiny your car was. The biggest predictor of your happiness and from fulfillment overall in life is basically love, good relationships. This, for me, was a great article to read. It's an excellent reminder that family, friends, relationships, those things. And I'll tell you, from now 18 plus years in financial services and being a financial planner, I've met a lot of seasoned citizens. And I can say now, looking at this study, I can look back on some of the people that I have met, those that are single and lonely and grumpy, and those that had friends and family and activities, and they're 95 years old and they're still going off to birthday parties and driving, and they just have a different vibe for life. Friends, family, love. So that's the watch your step on a happier note. But now I do have to jump in because I promised I would actually get to a couple of things here in our next episode. So in segment 2, this is going to continue this client questions that in these stories that I've got to share with you, because I'm finding that not enough people are truly paying attention to this 4% rule. People are still asking me about the 4% rule. And so I have just made it a point that I'm going to just keep hammering this home. I'm going to give you another example of the 4% rule, okay? 4% rule, for those of you who are new to it, the 4% rule says, if you have $1 million in your retirement funds on the day you retire at age 65, the investment world has been taught and trained for years to say, hey, you should not take out more than 4% of your $1 million to start your retirement. So soak that up for a moment and think about this example. Like, wait a minute. I've got $1.25 million in my 401k and my investments at age 65 when I retire. So think about that, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you this just as a side note. If you're able to save up $1.25 million, investment earnings and all that kind of stuff, you're probably making a decent living, right? You're making a good living. You're probably making more than $100,000 a year, all right? So let's just agree on that, because it's hard to save up $1 million, let alone $1.25 million. You've got to be earning a pretty good wage together as a couple, for example, all right? So what I want to do here is I want to use this 4% rule, but I also want to use an industry standard method for retirement income analysis. We're going to use the Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, so think about this for a moment. What comes into your mind right now? Just clear it just for a second. What comes into your mind when you hear Monte Carlo? Monte Carlo. Most people think gambling. Most people think a casino. So yeah, think risk, right? Monte Carlo simulation is a computer program that analyzes many thousands of potential ups and downs of an investment portfolio while you're trying to take money out of it. And one of the easiest Monte Carlo simulators that you can find is offered by Vanguard. So if you go to the Google, the source of all knowledge, and you search Vanguard Retirement Nest Egg Calculator, you'll find a Monte Carlo simulator that has been polished up to look like a nice, just nondescript, easy to use, friendly little calculator. It doesn't even say Monte Carlo simulation except in the lower right-hand corner, because, as I demonstrated a moment ago, the Monte Carlo phrase, it brings up images of gambling for a lot of people. So Vanguard calls it a retirement nest egg calculator. Sounds so innocuous and cute, right? So I go here, retirement nest egg calculator. We've got a couple, a husband and wife. This is a typical scenario. He is 65. She is 63, 2 years younger. All right. Now, with a husband and wife, is it possible that one of these two people could live past 90 years old nowadays? Yes, it is possible. So what is the income period we need to test? Well, we need to test basically 30 years. We got to make sure that we test this for 30 years so they don't run out of money, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to test it 30 years, and we're going to follow the industry standard Wall Street advice, 4%. So we've got $1.25 million. We're going to draw out $50,000. Yippee! Remember what we said earlier. These folks clearly, husband and wife together, who were able to save up $1.25 million, they weren't living on $50,000 a year, were they? Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, they're going to get Social Security too. Great. Let's throw on another $30,000, $35,000 of Social Security. Great. Now we're at $85,000 a year. These folks most definitely were making over $100,000 a year before they retired. And that's together. That's a joint income. And now what we're saying is we've got to cut our income down to $85,000 a year, right? All right. Now, using the default calculations in this software, and I'm telling you right now, if you have not done this for yourself, you have got to go open your eyes. Be brave. Go to the retirement nest egg calculator. Run the numbers yourself. You'll be shocked, okay? And then you'll want to call me because I'm going to help you fix it. But let's get back to our example. 4% on $1.25 million is $50,000. And if you use the default calculations that Vanguard has in the calculator, you come up with an 88% chance of success, an 88% chance that you will not run out of money if you use this income distribution plan where you start with 50 and then you increase that amount every year for inflation. Well, stop and think about this for a second. 88%. If that's the success odds, what is the failure risk? 12% chance of failure. So, I've used this example before. Let's do it again. We're all together at the airport, and we are about to get on our plane. We're going to go from California to New York. And the pilot comes on the PA system and says, hey, everybody, we've run a bunch of different calculations and we're really comfortable with our odds today of getting to New York. We have an 88% chance that we will make it all the way to New York. How many people would get up and leave that plane? Would you stay on an airplane that had a 12% chance that it's not going to make it all the way to your destination? Now, to be fair, so you don't think grim thoughts, did I say the plane was going to crash? No. Did I say that the plane had a 12% chance that it might not take you all the way to the destination you wanted? Yeah. So if you've got a 12% chance of failure, what does that mean? Maybe you land in Indianapolis and you don't want to land in Indianapolis, right? No offense to Indianapolis. Maybe you don't want to land in Kentucky somewhere. I don't know. The point is, 12% chance of failure on an airplane, you wouldn't stay for that. Why would you accept that as a risk for your retirement, right? So now, I said using the default calculations. These are the calculations that Vanguard suggests. So what if you take a more bold approach and you increase the risk position in this calculator and you get higher risk? Well, based on the calculator, now we move up to 91% chance of success, but we're still only getting $50,000 a year, right? What if you want 7%? Or what if you want $87,000 a year, right? What if you really want to have a great lifestyle, $87,000 a year plus Social Security? Now we're talking. Now we've got some cash flow, right? Well, if you run that same Monte Carlo simulation, and you try for $87,000 a year, you have a 52% chance of failure. 52%, folks. So clearly, the Monte Carlo calculator is telling you, no, you do not want to try for a 7%, even though that's the income you hope for, the income you want, you desire. If you only have an investment-based retirement plan, you will be stuck with a Monte Carlo simulation. So as a side note, let me help you with a side note here. I asked an investment advisor from a major, well-known firm. I asked her for her input on this exact scenario. I said, I've got a client, 65 and 63. They've got $1.25 million. And I would like to know from you, what would you recommend as their initial withdrawal rate from their investments? And she said, virtually with no hesitation whatsoever, she said 4%. 4%. $50,000 a year, 4%. And we're friends, so I had to ask her this question. I said, how can you tell people that? How can you tell people that? Well, these folks really wanted almost 90 grand a year plus Social Security, over 100. What would you tell them when they said, wow, that's not enough? The same answer shocked me, but I knew what it was. She said, well, they're going to have to save a lot more money, and maybe they're going to have to work longer. Same thing. I was just so surprised. Now, she and I are getting together coming up in the next week or so. We are actually getting together because I asked her, I said, hey, if there was a way for you to be able to help your clients get to that 7% income rate, would you want to know about it? And she said yes. So we're getting together where I'm going to help educate her on my specialty in retirement income planning so that she can add that as a value to her clients and just bring her clients a better conversation than 4%. Okay. And if you're an investment advisor listening to this, I would ask you this. Think about it. If you tell your clients with $1.25 million, they're thinking they're pretty good position. If you tell them 4%, $50,000 a year, they are not going to be happy. They're not. They're not going to be happy, but they will be wide open, ready to talk to virtually anybody who says that they can do better than 4%. That doesn't mean they're going to be able to find someone like myself who is truly really specialized in retirement income, right? They're going to find somebody that will tell them a better answer, and they may not get in touch with the right person. The best person might be their financial advisor, you, that they already have. You just need to know how to help them get to 7%. You need to know how to help them design an income strategy that works with what you've already done. So if you're interested, be bold. Go to my LinkedIn page. Contact me, Kraig with a K, Strom. I look forward to talking to you. Now, let's finish up with this. I also promised that I was going to help you with this banking 101. You know, this idea of banking and personal banking and cash flow banking. And you hear phrases like infinite banking. And I call it banking 101. And I promised that I would come back with why you finance everything you buy, even if you pay cash. This was a listener question, listener/friend, someone who listens to my podcast and said, hey, I heard you say that you finance everything you buy, even if you pay cash. And that doesn't sound right to me. So I promised I would bring this back to you. So I want you to think about that. We finance, this is my bold statement, we finance everything we buy, even if we pay cash. So financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey like to say that you should always pay cash for everything, including your car. The only thing that Dave says you should finance is maybe your house, but you should pay that off as fast as you can. But everything else, he basically says you're stupid if you finance a car or whatever. So let's analyze this, okay? Let's analyze that because that's a very bold thing to say. And then I'm here to tell you he's completely wrong. You finance everything you buy no matter what. So let's talk about the car, right? let's talk about buying a car. So we want a $15,000 car. All right. Now, $15,000 car, it's a good car. It's an okay car. Could you get a cheaper car? Yes. Could you get a more expensive car? Yes. But what do you need before you can pay cash for the car? You need the cash. So that means you have to save up the cash. Now, while you are saving the cash for the car, you cannot use that money for anything else, or you will never make it to the point where you can pay cash for the car, right? Okay, now you saved up your $15,000. Oops. Yeah, you got to pay tax and license and everything else. And heaven forbid, if you live in California, you get raked over the coals with your registration fees and taxes. But let's just say you saved up the money, you bought your car. Now, you have the car. Where's the $15,000? That's right. It is in that car you're driving around. Can you use that money ever again for anything else? No. That money is now trapped in the car. And what happens to the money that you put in the car? Well, basically, you set fire to 20% of it as soon as you put it in the car, right? So it's always funny to me when investment professionals and financial entertainers say, pay cash for your car, pay cash for your car. Well, wait a minute. You would never tell me to invest in something with a guaranteed loss, but yet you want me to put money into a guaranteed loss. I mean, it is guaranteed. As soon as you buy that car, you just lost 10 or 20% of its value immediately, right? All right, so let's move on. I'll get off my soapbox. Got to get down off the soapbox. Okay, now you've got the car. You got hit with your depreciation. You can't use the money while it's in the car. Let me ask you this. Maybe you're 30 years old, when you bought this $15,000 car. Will you ever need or want to buy another car? You're 30 years old, right? Of course you will want another car. You're not going to drive that $15,000 car until you die. That's just not going to happen, right? So how will you buy the next car, which now costs $20,000? Yes, you will save the money. So who is financing the car? Well, you are. You are the bank. You are financing your own car. So you finance everything you buy, whether you get the money from a bank or whether it's the bank of you, where you're the one saving up the money, giving up the opportunity to use that money, taking the depreciation expenses on that money, right? You finance literally everything you buy, no matter what, pay cash or not. And we won't get into this, but I will challenge you with this thought, okay? If you leave money in an account earning a rate of return, and you borrow money from a car company to finance a used car, you have two types of interest. The money that you keep invested or accumulating at interest is earning a compound rate of return. The money on the loan from the car company is an amortized loan, amortized interest. You are paying interest on a smaller and smaller amount versus a compounding account where you are earning interest on a larger and larger amount. Compound interest always beats amortized interest. All things being equal or close to equal, compound interest always beats amortized interest. It's simple economics. It's math. So when financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey say, pay cash for everything, well, that is just not good economic advice. It's not good math. It's just, in many cases, it's just economically bad advice. So you finance everything you buy, whether you pay cash or not. Now, next episode. This is an interesting one. I actually attended a workshop recently, and it was a tie-in, actually, to the reverse mortgage information that I posted again on my LinkedIn last week. And I'm going to bring this to you next week. Using a reverse mortgage as a long-term care planning tool. Using a reverse mortgage as a long-term care planning tool. Amazing, powerful, powerful stuff. Do not miss it. If you have parents, if you are the parents, grandparents, aging parents, if you're worried about them like I am with my family, if you're worried about their long-term care needs, you've got to have solutions ready. You've got to be prepared. And that's what we're going to talk about next time. Now, awesome again to be here. Happy Easter. You're not listening to this on Easter. Happy day after Easter, I guess it will be. Please remember to go to iTunes. I love to get reviews on iTunes. I've gotten some wonderful, nice, positive reviews. Please share this with friends, family. Get out there, repost it, share it as many places as you can. And don't forget, be bold, be brave. Go to the Retirement Nest Egg Calculator. Run your own retirement income numbers. Don't worry, you won't like the numbers, but then you get in touch with me and I will help turn that completely around. You will love getting together to fix it. I'm Kraig Strom. I am the income engineer. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.